Good evening and welcome. My name is Michael Webb, and tonight I'd like to speak to you about why we should abolish the death penalty. The death penalty, which in our current judicial system is the ultimate irreversible denial of human rights. Since 1976, there has been 1,437 executions in the United States, with currently 3,035 inmates on death row, which gives way to how the death penalty does not deter criminal activity or subdue the heinous acts committed by criminals. Along with not deterring criminal acts, the costs associated with the death penalty far exceed other prison sentences, such as life in prison, and perpetuate a cycle of violence and a drive for vengeance. Now that I have given you a brief overview of what will be discussed, let's begin by looking at the costs associated with the death penalty. According to a study conducted by Duke University in May of 1993, the cost of the death penalty, sentence, and trial in North Carolina exceeded $2.16 million over the cost of trial and sentence of life imprisonment. In Florida, the death penalty costs nearly $51 million a year over the average cost of sentencing all murderers with life in prison. These costs could be better spent updating our judicial system and better funding for the legal system. Now that we've discussed some of the costs of the death penalty, let's look at the facts of how the death penalty is unjust to innocent men and women. Of 3,000 men and women on death row, how many have been innocent of the crimes they were sentenced for? As a matter of fact, according to the National Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty, there have been 156 men and women that have been found innocent and released from death row. Due to this fact alone, it shows the inaccuracy of our judicial system and brings to light the need to abolish the death penalty. Not only does the fact of innocent men and women being sentenced to death fuel the need to end the death penalty, the morally unjust methods of how lives are taken drives the need to end this vicious cycle of violence. The use of lethal injection, which many consider to be the superior method of execution over electrocution and other means, still has botched injections that call into question if the means are cruel and unusual punishment. In an article from Time magazine on June 8, 2016, from David Bondrell, he talks about how on July 23, 2014, in Arizona, prison officials spent nearly 2 hours attempting to execute Joseph Wood by lethal injection. During this attempt at execution, Joseph Wood was left withering and gasping for air while witnesses watched when the injection failed. These types of cases where carrying out of the death penalty does not go according to plan leaves the question of if this means is cruel and unusual punishment or even undue torture. Even with the superior method of lethal injection, due to many of the botched injections, the medical companies that supply these medications used for these procedures have doubted themselves and refused to supply the medications that are used to put someone to death. Now that I've shared some of these facts about the death penalty, I'd like to review. The death penalty should be abolished due to many reasons. However, the high costs associated with the death penalty show how the system does not work and can be better spent on other options for our legal system. Also, the death penalty puts innocent lives in danger, which is by far the greatest importance. I would like to end tonight with something to think about, a quote from Brian Stevenson, the author of a book called Just Mercy, A Story of Justice and Redemption. The death penalty is not about whether people deserve to die for the crimes they commit. The real question of capital punishment in this country is, do we deserve to kill? Thank you.